absence of a God or something, he is forced to assume that responsibility himself. Then you have tragedy.
But that's fiction. That's movies. I mean, you see too many movies. I mean, I'm talking about reality. I mean, if you want a happy ending, you should go see a Hollywood movie.
Woody Allen's Crimes and Misdemeanors is a wonderful work. Our lives are shaped by the positions we take on issues of religious belief and morality, and this movie, like many other great works of art, asks critical questions about how we view the world. In my opinion, it's one of Woody Allen's very best movies. It's my personal favorite, and I offer this discussion in the hope that it may enrich your experience of the work. The movie is multifaceted. Many aspects could be discussed, but in the spirit of Professor Levy, I forced myself to choose just 3 areas. Firstly, a consideration of Judah's worldview. Then, the suggestion that our response to this movie tells us something about ourselves, and lastly, a consideration of the position of the artist, Woody Allen. Each of us will approach this movie in a way that is dependent on our own worldview. Regardless of who you are, however, the film leads one to ask questions about how one would create a moral framework in a godless universe. We are introduced to a number of worldviews. Ben, the rabbi, believes that without God, all would be chaos.
I couldn't go on living if I didn't feel with all my heart a moral structure with real meaning and forgiveness and some kind of higher power. Otherwise, there's no basis to know how to live.
Judah's father goes even further. He sees atheism as nihilism and even says,
"If necessary, I will always choose God over truth."
Aunt May is an atheist. For her, religious belief is mumbo-jumbo and superstition.
Is basically nothing.
Haley, in an almost throwaway comment, reveals that she takes the position of a form of agnostic.
No matter how elaborate a philosophical system you work out, in the end, it's got to be incomplete.
Jack, Judah's brother, is pragmatic and amoral.
I mean, you sit up here with your 4 acres
Don't give me any
and your
of that
country
stuff.
club
I don't want to hear about my
and your
success.
rich friends, and out there in the real world, it's a whole different story.
Come on.
Professor Levy is an existentialist. He lives in a world in which events unfold unpredictably and unfairly, where one defines oneself by the choices one makes, and where man keeps trying, and if he is wise and fortunate, he finds joy in the simple things that are actually available to him. This brings us to Judah, our protagonist. What does Judah believe? He describes himself as a secular man.
We've known each other many years. You're a religious man. Okay, I'm not.
Yet he says many things that suggest that his underlying belief in God is very much alive.
God have mercy on us, Jack. I believe in God, Miriam. I know it. Because without God, the world is a cesspool.
Judah decides to commit murder, or have murder committed for him, because he is inconvenienced and threatened by Dolores, and can't imagine facing the consequences of their relationship. He unconsciously distances himself psychologically from the decision to kill and the act itself. He calls on Jack and steers the subject to that of murder.
What would you like me to do?
I don't know, but she's killing me.
Yet he doesn't take ownership of the idea.
Christ, Jack, what are you suggesting?
What did you call me for?
Later, after the deed is done, he attempts to distance himself by being contemptuous of the killer.
It's pure evil, Jack. The man kills for money. He doesn't even know his victim.
Judah does things by default. He doesn't take full responsibility for his choices. Why does Judah feel guilt after the murder? Is it because he has a deep-seated belief in God? Or rather, does he have an innate human sense that he has done wrong? Or is this just a learnt response, out of habit, out of social norms, the remnants of his father's teaching, chastisement from an internalized parent? Or is his guilt largely just the fear of getting caught? And when he isn't caught, his guilt passes, and any belief in God that he may have again grows quiet. So what does Judah believe? One could argue, and indeed I would, that Judah is secular by default, that he is actually a lazy theist. He isn't actively a believer in God. He doesn't live the full implications of a belief in God. But nor has he thoroughly thought through the implications of atheism. He doesn't live as an existential atheist either. Woody Allen has said of him, Judah doesn't choose to punish himself. Note Allen's passive description. Not Judah chooses not to punish himself, but Judah doesn't choose to punish himself. Judah makes choices by default.